Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Jenkins versus Crockett.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Good day. Ms. Jenkins, you say after 23 years, you are here to finally prove to your college sweetheart that he is your daughter, Marquisa's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Crockett, you say Ms. Jenkins was having sex with several men while you were in college, and you are positive you are not her daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Jenkins, why, after 23 years, are you so sure Mr. Crockett is your daughter's father?
Well, recently me and Corey just reconnected, and we were dating back in college, so he has to be the possible father.
You all dated back in college?
Yes, Your Honor.
And now you believe 23 years later that he is your daughter's biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Crockett, you don't believe that?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Because she's not my child, you know.
That she is not your child. You do not believe Marquisa's your biological child?
Yes, Your Honor. And plus, she has another man's last name.
Take me back to the beginning of this relationship, Miss Jenkins.
Okay, so in 1993, me and Corey had met in band camp. Mind you, I had a boyfriend back at home. But, of course, we had an instant attraction. And then I was also messing with a guy from my church.
Oh.
But...
So you were in college?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said there were 3?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were messing with Mr. Crockett?
Yes,
and
Your Honor.
Who else? The guy from high school?
Yes,
that
Your
was
Honor.
back at home?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody at church?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how did this relationship start?
So I was in college. I mean, I was having the time of my life. I was doing what most college students do.
You started having sex?
Yes.
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend at the time?
Not at all.
Did you know Mr. Crockett? She had 2 other boyfriends?
No, I didn't.
How do you remember this relationship?
We was both in band. You know, I played the drums, she played the clarinet. She did a little flag twirling, and then one of my friends came and told me she liked me, so we kind of hooked up from then on, and we was having sex, and just went from there.
So, Miss Jenkins, take me to the point you find out you're pregnant.
So I was at school, and I got extremely sick, didn't have no clue as to what was going on with me. So I went to the local health department, and I found out I was 4 months pregnant.
4 months?
4 months. And I didn't tell nobody because I was scared because I knew I had been sleeping with several guys. I was terrified to tell my mom. It came down to where I had no choice but to tell her.
Who did you tell her the father was of the baby? Your mother?
My high school sweetheart.
Okay.
And I really didn't have to tell her. She just assumed because that's who they knew I was with.
So, Mr. Crockett, did you ever know Miss Jenkins was pregnant?
No, Your Honor.
You never told him you were pregnant?
Never. I never told him.
She called me up one day, Your Honor, and told me to come pick her up, and I went and picked her up, and we hung out, and we had sex, you know, and when she put her clothes back on, she reached in her back pocket and pulled this picture out and was like, "Do you think this baby's yours?" And I was like, "No." Then I showed my grandmother, and I asked my grandmother, "Do you think this baby's mine?" And my grandmother was like, "No." So from then on...
What? Wait a minute, Miss Jenkins, you go over to his house to have sex, and when you get done, you just pulled a baby picture out and said, "Does this look like you?"
I did. Yes,
You
Your Honor.
did that?
I did that. Well,
Why'd you do it like that?
Can I just take you back for a minute? Cause
Please do.
Kind of, you know, when she was born, she's maybe about 3 weeks old. So I'm like, me and my high school sweetheart, we're extremely dark skinned. So this baby high yelling, I'm like, this can't be his baby, you know. So I'm just.
Oh, so you're saying the baby comes out
Yeah.
and she's very fair skinned.
Yes, and she hasn't.
So when you had the baby, your high school sweetheart accepted the baby as his. What happens at that point when you're having the baby?
Well, he's away, but his family, you know, his parents accepted it. But me, I knew because I knew what I was doing. And so I felt like, I was like, this can't be. And then, so I mentioned it to the other guy from my church, and I informed him, I said, you know, this may be your baby. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, well, you know, you've been there, so hey, it's a possibility that this may be your baby. I didn't even know he told his mother until she came to me at church and informed me. She's like, do you mind us, getting the blood test just to make sure? I said, no, not at all. So then that happens. We get a blood test.
You do? Okay.
We have a blood test, and it comes back negative. He's not the father.
When you told him and it was negative, you've never at this point really told the high school sweetheart that Marquisa's not his, or you don't think she is.
Mm-hmm. I went right back to, just like I was like, well, it must be his.
Came back like you never left.
Yeah, like it never, yeah, exactly.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Marquisa thinks that your high school sweetheart is her biological father.
Yes,
She's never been told anything different.
Never.
And now you're here to prove that, in fact, the high school sweetheart is not her biological father, but Mr. Crockett is.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it's time to hear from Marquisa. I want to know what she has to say. Ooh. Jerome?
Just stand right next to the judge. Watch your step.
So, Marquisa, thank you for joining us today. I want to understand, you grew up thinking your mom's high school sweetheart was your biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you always believed.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody told you any different.
No, ma'am.
And you were never led to believe anything different.
No, ma'am.
At what point were you told that there could be another possibility?
When my mom and Corey got back together, that's when my mom brought it to me that Corey may be my father. Just now, like recently, probably like a week before we came, I just found out that he wasn't the father.
Miss Jenkins, you just told your daughter 1 week ago
I just told her.
that the man she believed was her biological father for 23 years really was not?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how did you determine that?
I had him tested when she was 13. Like I said, I wanted child support, and so he wasn't complying with child support, so he felt like he wasn't gonna pay child support unless he had a DNA. So we had the DNA, I had her swab, he got swabbed, and the results came back that he was negative also.
And you knew this when she was 13.
I knew.
And so you just didn't tell her for 10 years?
I didn't say absolutely nothing. Wow. Pretty much, I'm raising her. She's growing up in a loving, environment. So I put it to the back of my mind.
So for these 10 years, she's still interacting with the high school boyfriend's family? Are they still coming around, or just all of a sudden they all disappear at 13?
In and out, like she said.
They're just in and out.
In and out. Yeah.
And so all this time, Marquisa, you feel like your father is just sometimey, coming and going as he pleases, never knowing that at 13 it was determined he really was not your biological father.
Right. At first, we didn't really have a father-daughter relationship because he was in and out of my life. Like, he was never consistently there. When him and my mom got back together, when I was about 11 or 12, then at that point we started to kind of build a relationship, and in between then we experienced Hurricane Katrina together. He was there for me. He taught me like a lot of stuff during that time. But then after that, him and my mom broke up, and then he went back to the same thing, and he was in and out. He was never really there.
And so at what point, Miss Jenkins, do you then turn to Mr. Crockett and decide he could be her biological father?
Well, like I said, once me and Corey got back together, our family, our friends, and now everybody's, questioning us and asking, is that Corey's baby? Is that Corey's baby? And a lot of people telling us they look alike. So that's when it really,
So you just reconnected with Mr. Crockett?
Last year.
And once you reconnected, you said the family started saying that Marquisa is his baby.
They favor.
And because you admittedly had slept with 3 different men, you DNA tested the first 2, came out negative. By process of elimination, you said then it must be Mr. Crockett.
Yes, Your
because
Honor.
these are the 3 men I was sleeping with at the time.
Yes, Your Honor.
So had you not reconnected with Mr. Crockett and started to have a relationship, would you have ever told your daughter that he potentially could be her biological father?
No, not at all. I wouldn't have.
You was never gonna tell me.
I never, honestly, I never would have told.
That's what we do here. We tell the truth. We want the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you would have never told.
Because, I mean, I raised her. She, I did a good job, so I just.
I understand as a parent, like, you probably in your heart feel like you was doing the best thing to protect me, but I'm grown now, and like I deserve to know that, and
I understand that.
and now I just feel like I'm at that age where, like, if I want to have kids or whatever have you, I have a last name that is not my last name because I have no relation to him.
Mr. Crockett,
Yes,
you've heard Markesia speak beautifully about what this means to her. You've heard Ms. Jenkins testify quite honestly. I mean, she's put it out there today. Right. Do you believe Markesia is your biological daughter?
No, I don't think she's mine.
Why? I mean, there were 3 men she was sleeping with. She's had 2 tested. You're the 3rd one. Why don't you believe it?
I mean, look at them. Can I show you?
Is this proof you brought, an exhibit? Let me
Yes.
see.
I'm 5'3", Keisha's 5'7", Markeisha's 6'1". She has, her father has to be tall.
But your son's tall.
Well, wait a minute. Her mother's tall. What's the point? You just believe because you are not that tall and Markesia is so tall, there's no way.
Yes, Your Honor.
But if she DNA tested 2 other men, the other men that she openly admitted here today, I was at college sowing my oats, doing way too much, but I've had them tested and the answers was negative. Mr. Crockett is the only other person I was sleeping with. That doesn't in some way sway your thought?
No, Your Honor.
I mean, it should if I've had 2 other guys tested. So why wouldn't you think that, you knew you was there? So you're possible, if anything.
Correct. I mean, yeah. Well,
You do believe you're a possibility. You agree to that? Or you believe she's not my daughter?
no, I'm a possibility, yeah.
And why do you feel that way? Because she's tall.
Yes.
And then
I
he
guess we've
also
heard
say,
worse, Jerome. We comparing toenails in here and everything else, so. Are you just trying to be kind because you all have reconnected and you don't want to say it? I'm gonna say it for you, and then you can just tell me if I'm right or not. Is it your testimony that you believe possibly there was at least one more person, and that person or someone else may be the biological father?
I don't know, because, she done had 2 other guys tested, so.
I'm not gonna make you talk anymore. Not that you was gonna do it anyway. Jerome, I think it's time for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Jenkins versus Crockett, when it comes to 23-year-old Markesia, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Crockett, you are not the father. You are not the father, sir. Markesia, are you okay, hon? I know you were hoping for the closure today.
Yeah.
You've been very strong, but I can only imagine what it feels like to just not know. Mom, Ms. Jenkins, you see the tears in your daughter's eyes. And quite frankly, you came here to testify to sleeping with 3 men, and I do not mean this in a funny way, I mean this earnestly. Why not say 4? Right. Where is this other guy? Do you know who it is?
No, Your Honor.
You can't remember being intimate with anybody else?
Besides those three.
This is difficult. And is it possible that you could go back to friends or relatives or people from that time and ask some questions? Because at the end of the day, this is not really a study of your sexual habits in college. This is a very real attempt to try to help your daughter identify who her biological father is. And she has stated so honestly and plainly that she deserves to know. We've been through 3 men and 3 no's.
Apparently, it's somebody.
Yes.
I mean, guess I gotta dig a little deeper.
Yes, and she's worth it.
Absolutely.
All right, we have counseling and resources for you, and if you need us, we're here. I wish you all the very best. Court is adjourned.